that image, that comic reduction of a trans person, is something that you can see in countless examples within Bollywood.
I don't think Bollywood by and large gets uncomfortable, but I do think that society gets very uncomfortable with opinionated, self-made women.
I think that being smart is not inversely proportional to being an actor.
Hello and welcome to Sisterhood, the show where we confront our challenges and confess our insecurities, and together figure out what to do about them. Today, the spotlight is on Bollywood and how it plays into stereotypes. Every single time it comes out with a movie, instead of questioning the problems of society, it goes to propagate the same. But why? Why is it that LGBTQI characters should be looked at as a joke on screen? Why do they always have to be the funny person? On one hand, it's about portrayal. On the other, it's about patriarchy. We get uncomfortable putting women in the central character. We get uncomfortable when women are in political roles. We get uncomfortable when a female is shown outspoken compared to many other characters in a film. What will lead to this change? When actors are not acting, there's another part of the stereotype. How are they behaving offline? For the last few years, we are seeing many women come out to the fore and speak up their mind on issues, whether it's stereotypes, gender pay gap, or many others. But the minute a female actor does that, her career is put into question. Will she get the next big meaty role? Will she have the opportunity for the next possible blockbuster? Why are all these stereotypes so central to the film industry today? We break that down. Joining me now are Richa Chadda and Kritika Kamra to talk about how and why women with opinions, particularly political opinions, make Bollywood uncomfortable. Kritika, why is it important for Bollywood to talk on critical issues? Do you do that?
I think so. I think it's better than what it's been. Is it the best? Not really. I hope it gets better, but it's definitely better than what it's been so far. I think we've come a long way in the last few years at least. And you see so many, now films are just films. They're not looked at women-centric films alone. There are so many films that have women at the center of their plot and the story, which is great. So I hope that with web and with everything else, I hope that it only gets better. I think it's much better though.
Kritika, but as public figures, should we think that it's the responsibility of stars, actors to speak up?
I find it important personally, and that's why I am the way I am. I mean, it is very personal to me. It's not like something that my job requires me to do or something that I feel like. I don't even think that it's only because I'm an actor, it's my responsibility. I would not, it's a personal choice. We've seen people get a lot of backlash also. I mean, people can choose to be vocal about what they want to, but yes, I personally feel that it's important to me, and that's why I say what I say.
Richa Chadda, what's your view?
What you are not hearing is the conversations that happens in Bollywood in private spaces where everybody is talking about the same thing. They're talking about the stifling of dissent. They're talking about this targeted vilification of the entertainment industry and things like that. So some people express themselves, some people don't. And that's completely okay. I don't think Bollywood by and large gets uncomfortable, but I do think that society gets very uncomfortable with opinionated, self-made women who have something to say and something often very uncomfortable to say. So I think that the women, opinionated women definitely make society at large very uncomfortable. I mean, I do think that the entertainment industry has played a big role, and I really hate that the generalization of everyone's so spineless. That's not nice, and that's not fair also, because some of us who are constantly speaking feel very slighted by that, to be clubbed with all the others. And as far as judging others, I feel like everyone has their own compulsions and reasons, and I don't want to focus on anyone else and why they choose to do or not do certain things. I can only help myself and say what is important to me.
Richa Chadda, fair to say that mostly women have been the ones who've been outspoken on critical issues. They have stuck their neck out, spoken up in the last few years, especially so on social media.
100%. So many examples. Whether it's Anushka Sharma talking about pay parity or Deepika talking about that the cleavage that she said was not news. Whether it was Swara who constantly takes a stand, or Tapsi, or anybody, I just feel like women have been speaking, and women have been speaking far more than sometimes their male colleagues for whatever reason. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's quite plain to see.
Tillotama Shome talking about Bollywood's obsession with the fair heroine, the stereotypes, the colorism, and of course, the rise of OTT as a platform of those who are not mainstream stars.
I think it's very heartening to have directors who are writing films about women and women as protagonists. So I think in that sense, it's a wonderful thing that there's been so many predecessors to Sir happening, and so many people who have actually worked really hard against odds to get us here. But I think we have a long way to go, because I think the idea of the hero itself, I mean, I say this often because I genuinely believe it, that even if as a director you're not committed to making a story about a women protagonist because you're not excited about it, don't do it. Make a film about a man, but make him a man we know. Because not all men have to be toxic versions of masculinity. So I think I'm very happy to live in a world where even if we choose to continue to be obsessed about men and their desires and their stories, theek hai, banaiye aap log, be the majority, but at least show us real men. Show us men with different, with vulnerabilities. Show us men with complexities, and then I will accept them as a hero. When you do get cast for a certain kind of part more often, and get relegated the best friend, or the character actor in a series, because oh my god, you're such a good actor, we'll give you the really small part, which is the adjectives for which are intense, tragic, or whatever. Then you realize that okay, your looks play a part in people not being able to imagine you, let's say, as the vehicle of desire, or being the object of someone's affection in the mainstream world. So one does feel petulant about it. I think I felt petulant about it a few times. I think that would be fair, but I've really had too many good friends and too many good teachers, and who have not let me indulge in this at all. I still look exactly the way I looked a year ago, right? And yet people have taken us to their homes and are giving us so much love. So I guess it's okay I didn't straighten my teeth and didn't blow out my hair for this phone call, for this call today, because I think I'm just feeling comfortable in my skin, because you're at it for 20 years, you want to fit in, and then it gets tiring. Yeah, then you're like, it's okay, I'll be like this, I'll keep working hard, and maybe my work will just seduce you. You might just, despite yourself, fall in love with the characters, and then we'll work together.
Tisca Chopra will speak on ageism.
The change is happening. It hasn't yet happened. We don't have that many films headlined by actresses above the so-called sexually active periods of life. So my question is, if there are more women who are writing, producing, acting and directing, then the stories will naturally be more nuanced. They will naturally have more layers. So, even if it's a mother, nobody has a problem playing a mother. But when you start looking at it as like a figure of reverence, and as a Devi figure, and then she's the one whose feet you touch and go, you kind of put her in a frame and stick her on the wall, and you take away shades and possibilities. You take away experienced lifetimes. You take away the nuance of her feeling, her possible sexuality, her struggle with her aging husband, with her own aging body, with whatever XYZ. So I'm saying it's changing, and certainly it in the aspects of actresses being married or being open about their relationships. Yes, that is certainly changing, and it's quite the norm now to be able to talk about it, etc. And I think the more women take this power and the more they own that space, the faster the change will happen and the better it will be for everyone.
Dipanita Sharma talks about how queer people are portrayed on screen. And Trinetra Haldar brings a perspective as a trans woman. Why are we reducing these characters to a joke on television?
I think changes are happening slowly but steadily. I think the good thing about this period is there is space for all kinds of films and all kinds of characters. You might not see very big studio films supporting, all kinds of, all kinds of gender sort of, non-conformity. And there would be big studios who would still stick to their commercial norms and stuff like that. But I'm saying there is space for others now. There was a point in time where there was no space.
I think that something that you find, at least in India, in pop culture, in mainstream media, in films, in shows, is this reduction of a trans person to a joke. That a trans person exists solely to make somebody laugh, solely to entertain an individual. And that image, that comic reduction of a trans person, is something that you can see in countless examples within Bollywood and even in different parts of the country. And I think that it's important here to talk about the biggest disservice, like you said. I think that one of the biggest disservices to the portrayals of trans people is in pornography, right? Like pornography essentially reduces trans people to a fetish. We become a category on a porn website with a certain fixed set of body parts. And we exist in those categories solely for the pleasure of men, solely for the pleasure of the voyeuristic sort of fetishizing male gaze. And I think that also plays into Bollywood, and that also plays into portrayals of trans people in shows and in pop culture and so on, where we are reduced to sex objects, that we exist, like I said, solely to entertain, to please, to make people laugh. And our agency in that process, the fact that we have bodies and we have experiences and love lives, and that, we have sex and we masturbate and we have an entire existence outside of pleasing people, outside of entertaining people, that just gets taken for granted completely.
Sanjana Sanghi talks about the stereotype that actresses must be empty-headed in order to succeed in Bollywood.
Just been someone who's been really passionate about academia all my life. Mom and dad had to pull me out of the desk and tell me to stop studying, because it's just, I don't know what it was about immersing myself in books that just used to make me feel like this is my most peaceful place. But I can't tell you how much it helped me as an artist. So it's not just what you read in your books, but it's just education at large is how you experience life, and that's how we breathe life into character. So I can't imagine taking the responsibility of building new people on celluloid if I hadn't engaged and interacted with so many of them through my years at university or the part-time jobs that I've done. And I think that's my experience. I'm sure others are able to tap into their imagination a lot more as well. But I think that being smart is not inversely proportional to being an actor.
It is high time that Bollywood stops stereotyping women, whether it's about their weight, their looks, their style, their hair, their waist size, and much more. For us as viewers, we need to ask ourselves, why can't we normalize the idea of looking at a heroine who is heavier, fat? Why can't we normalize a woman who is doing an item song who is not a size 0? Why can't we normalize a woman taking the lead and leaving a marriage? Why can't we normalize somebody with crooked teeth, dark skin, curly hair just as much as we look at getting anybody else on screen? Time for us as audiences to ask questions. Time for directors, producers to put these important issues at the forefront while making selections. We need to normalize normal people making it big in Bollywood. We don't have to put conditions that require them to be a certain size, a certain color, a certain style, a certain way, a certain nose, a certain hip, and a certain waist. Let's change that now.
Stay tuned to Sisterhood every Friday. And remember to subscribe by clicking that bell icon on your screen.